Russian troops have intensified their offensive in all areas of the front line. They are attacking from 5 directions at once, trying to take the initiative before Ukraine receives new weapons from its partners. So the next few weeks will be decisive in Russia's war against Ukraine, said Charles Michel, the president of the European Council. And the Ukrainian leadership says that the occupiers will launch the biggest offensive in this war for the anniversary of the Russian invasion on February the 24th.
This is the sound of Bakhmut for the past few months. More than 6,000 civilians are still living in this hell without water, electricity or gas. Almost 200 children are among them.
You have to be safe, do you understand? Because little children, right there. Tell me, is there shooting? Is there a bank?
What kind of war is this? People lose their loved ones, people lose their homes. Houses are one thing, but our young guys are dying. We may or may not rebuild our houses, but we are losing our youth.
The occupiers have thrown all their forces to surround Bakhmut, says the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. The Russians have probably gained fire control over 2 main roads to the city, to Slavyansk and Pokrovsk-Kostiantynivka, and earlier Wagnerites have likely seized the road connecting Bakhmut to Siversk, the UK Ministry of Defense reports.
We continue to use roads despite the risk of shelling, but in addition to these roads, there is another road from Bakhmut to Chasiv Yar. Beyond Bakhmut, there is another line of defense starting from Chasiv Yar, Konstantinivka and beyond. This line of defense is on a hill, and I think that the enemy's advance several kilometers deeper into our territory will actually be associated with even more losses as compared to what they suffered trying to capture Bakhmut and when capturing Soledar. The enemy is now actively attacking in 5 directions: Kupiansk, Svatove, Kremenna, Bakhmut, Vuhledar, and the action around Donetsk. And in all these directions, the enemy is now trying to probe and find weakness in our defense.
Ukraine's defense minister Oleksiy Reznikov believes that Russia will launch a decisive offensive by February the 24th, the anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine.
Despite everything, we expect a possible Russian offensive in February. This is only from the point of view of symbolism. It's not logical from a military view, because not all of their resources are ready. But they are doing it anyway.
The American Institute for the Study of War agrees with this assessment.
Russian military command may be rushing to launch a large-scale offensive operation to conquer Donetsk Oblast in unrealistic time frame and likely without sufficient combat power.
The escalation of the situation at the front coincided with increased attention to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The ministry was shaken by a scandal involving inflated purchase prices for food for the military. Deputy Minister Vyacheslav Shapovalov and Director of the Procurement Department Bogdan Khmelnytsky, who were responsible for this area, lost their positions and were suspected of illegal actions. The head of the Department of Military and Technical Policy, Alexander Liev, was also dismissed. The chair of the Minister of Defense was also shaken, but Reznikov is the main negotiator in Ramstein, and it was decided not to replace him for now. In February, the 9th meeting of the contact group will take place, at which Ukraine expects to receive the aircrafts needed for a counteroffensive.
I believe it would be more correct if the President's office also voiced its clear position on this situation. The issue is not only to punish the guilty, but also to eradicate shadow economy, the war, and procurement are now shrouded in. That is, to revise the procurement mechanism once again. I know that certain proposals are being made today, including the creation of an anti-corruption council at the Ministry of Defense, made up by public figures. But this should be a broader dialogue with the political leadership of the state, and not just with the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine.
Recently, the US Treasury Department announced that it has no evidence that US money in Ukraine is being misused. There is no reason to talk about a reduction in support from other partners. Denmark, Germany and the Netherlands have issued a joint statement that they will provide Ukraine with 100 Leopard 1 tanks in the coming months. And the Swedish parliament has supported the allocation of a $400 million military aid package.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends, and analytics on all about Ukraine. Like, share, and subscribe. Any questions, proposals, and comments, contact us via email.